Shalom, everyone. My name is Sharon Shafrir.
Buenos días, buenas tardes a todos. Me llamo Sharon Shafrir.
1 minute, please. I have a little problem here. Okay, perfect. My name is Sharon Shafrir for Hope for Israel Alliance. Before I introduce our guests today, a few housekeeping messages for everyone. This webinar is going to be held in English, and we are offering live simultaneous interpretation in Spanish. If you are interested in using that, please choose the globe icon on your Zoom menu bar to choose interpretation, and then Spanish, the Spanish channel. For closed captioning in English and any other language, please use the CC, closed captioning symbol at the bottom of this Zoom menu, and choose the main language, English, obviously, and your preferred AI-supported captioning. If you need any technical support or any kind of questions that you would like to ask our panelists, please use the Q&A. Also, as I said, for technical support, because our tech team will help sifting through the Q&A and addressing those issues. So as I said, my name is Sharon Shafrir from Hope for Israel Alliance. It's an organization of Israeli volunteers in North America that works for the people of Israel and for Israeli democracy against manifestation of anti-Semitism in Jewish communities around the globe, especially here in North America. We partner with other similar organizations in other places in the world for similar activities. And we provide practical support to the campaign to free the hostages. Aid Coalition is a US non-for-profit organization whose mission is the strengthening and preserving the democratic foundation of the State of Israel. We're partnering today with our sister organization in Europe called United with Israel. It's been 2 years since October 7th, and today we host two people whose life have completely changed that day. Eran Litman and Tami Raviv lost their daughters, Oriya Litman Ricardo and Niv Raviv, on October 7th. And we are very grateful to have you both today in this very challenging time. Eran, could you tell us about yourself a little bit and a little bit about Oriya, please?
Like Tami, I'm coming from Jerusalem. Tami and me, we were in the same class. Now I live in the center in Caesarea. It's between Haifa and Tel Aviv. I studied physics in the Hebrew University. I had 3 daughters, now have two daughters. And life is complicated. It's not easy. And I continue to support my daughters. That's the reason that I wake up every morning. And I see it as a mission to tell the world about Oriya. Who was she? A wonderful girl, wasn't perfect, but she was murdered in a terrible situation. It was horrible. And by knowing her story, you can understand the story of another 1,320 people who were murdered and killed on October 7th. And I'm trying to bring a change in Israel to correct and to help hope to make it a better state.
Thank you, Eran. Tami, tell us a bit about yourself and about Niv.
So I'd say, first of all, I want to say thank you for having us. These are very difficult days for us. It's very difficult to even believe that 2 years have passed. I'd say that before October 7th, I had a pretty good life. I have my own company that does business development between Israel and Japan. I've been doing it for many, many years, and I was supposed to actually fly to Tokyo on the night of October 7th. And that morning turned our lives upside down. I'm a mother of 3 kids. I have a son, Gil, who's 31, Niv is 27, and Shim, my youngest one, is 24. Niv lived with her boyfriend on a kibbutz called Kfar Azza. It's on the Gaza envelope. She was born and raised in Netanya, which is a city in the middle of Israel. And she was a student for psychology at the University of Ariel, which is also in the center of Israel. And they chose to live on the kibbutz because they found it very peaceful and quiet. And there was a very strong sense of community, and they wanted that type of life. Niv was studying for a very major exam that takes from first degree to second degree in psychology. And she was very busy before this exam. The exam was supposed to take place on October 10th. This is in general about us.
So the people you were on October 6th have changed completely. Tami, can you tell us about that morning? What messages, when did you start getting messages, and your experience that day?
Friday night, Niv came to our house. It was a holiday in Israel called Simchat Torah. And usually they would stay the weekend, but she decided to go back to her home to study for this exam. And they went back very late on Friday night. Maybe they returned to the kibbutz maybe 1 a.m. and everything started at 6:30. I got a message, we got a phone call from my husband's mother that was hysterical, called to say that Israel is being attacked and there are sirens and terrorists in Israel. We were shocked. My first call was to Niv. She answered. She sounded okay. I didn't expect it to be my last conversation with her, so I don't remember it as a very major conversation, but she said they were okay. They were in the shelter. And then we communicated with Nirel on WhatsApp, and he started sending very harsh messages, very scared messages. They had terrorists all around their house shouting in Arabic. They heard bombs, they heard shooting. They were very scared. They locked themselves in the shelter room. And at about 10, we lost communication with them, and it took it took a week for us to find out what had happened. For 3 days, we thought that all we had to do is just to open the shelter room and to get them out, and we worked very closely with Nirel's family, which we didn't know beforehand, even though they were together for 8 years. And we tried to get everyone we could to just open the shelter room and get them out. But after the third day, we got someone from the army sent me a message and said that they opened the shelter room and there's no one in that room, no one under the bed, over the bed, in the cupboard. It was very cynical, but he said they didn't take any bodies out of that house. So we assumed and somehow hoped they were taken hostage. And for 3 days, we really tried to contact every government we could because we thought, little did we know, of course, but we thought that if the government would request them, they would release them. But then on Friday afternoon, we got a knock on the door, and 4 people came to our house to say that Niv was identified. And very soon after that, Mirel's family got the same message. And they were buried together in Netanya. I don't know if I should go into the story, but if I have time, I will say a few words about the funeral.
I will ask you about that.
Okay.
How about you take just a break and a sip of water? I know it's very, very challenging. Eran, when we spoke about October 7th, your October 7th morning started similarly, and you have also a gripping story. Please share it with us.
It started the day before. In the morning before, I spoke with her and she told me, Abba, I just came back from a concert. I'm tired and I want to go to sleep early. Later, around midnight, she received a gift ticket to the party and went with a friend. It was the first party that week, one too many. At 7:56 in the morning, our final conversation began. She said to me, Abba, you can't begin to imagine how much I love you. Abba, you don't know how sorry I am that I skipped our meeting last night. We escaped from the party. Don't come. They'll kill you too. I'm hiding in a car with my friends. I'm holding a friend who died in my arms. I told her to get as far away as possible from the road and from the car. But she chose to follow the police instruction, who told her to stay inside the vehicle. Only at 8:30, when the gunfire grew closer, did she listen to me and say she was going to hide. At 8:45, the connection was lost. Oriya and her friend Sharon also called the friends to warn them not to come. They saved 10 lives. In the 4 police recordings I received, Oriya spoke calmly and described what was happening and what they had seen. They tried to rescue Shachar, and she was the one who declared his death. Oriya even confronts the police dispatchers, demanding to know why the rescue vehicle had not arrived, and asking for its location and for the phone number of the officers inside. She was a hero to the very end. Through a phone call, Oriya and Sharon also heard Sharon's brother Eli, who had rushed to save them. He was murdered at the Shar HaNegev junction, just 1 mile away. On Saturday evening, after reporting Oriya's absence to the police, I informed the sister of Shachar Mansour that he had been murdered in the car. I also sent them the photo I had received showing the brother shot and lifeless The days that followed were terrible. We were missing person groups, clinging to every sign of life. We searched hospitals. Major General Yair Golan, former Deputy Chief of Staff, joined the search. I contacted members of Kibbutz Mefalsim, and we even appeared on CNN. We received a last phone location near a nearby village, 3 kilometers away, at 11 p.m. And we believed she and a friend were hiding. On Tuesday afternoon, Ishai, a friend of hers, was searching for her, called me and sent a video from the area saying that Oriya was not there and no one was searching for her. About an hour later, my second daughter called me, tears, telling me that Ishai had found Oriya lifeless, 200 meters from the car, beneath an eucalyptus tree. I rushed to Tel Aviv, where I found my daughter sobbing on the floor. I stayed to support her, knowing I had to drive north to break the news to my oldest daughter. At the same time, I began making burial arrangement and updating my police contact. There was no time to cry or to mourn. Sharon, Oriya's friend, was found only on Wednesday. The exact place where she was discovered remained unknown. The DNA verification confirmation arrived only at the end of the week, and only on Sunday we were able to lay Oriya to rest. In her last message to her sister, she wrote, "I love you so much. You're everything." Oriya was only 26 years and 48 days old. She loved life and left behind a great light, a daughter, a sister, and a loving friend. That's how I carry her in my heart. That is how I remember her, and I will remember her forever. That was that week.
Thank you. Just listening to you both, I'm already tearing myself. I can't imagine what you've been experiencing since. Tami, when we spoke, you told me about the special relationship you've developed with Nil's family and the incredible conversation and planning of their funeral. And I would really appreciate the story about that if you could share it with us.
So, as I said before, they were together for 8 years. We found out that he was going to propose on the 10th of October. It was the date of her exam, and was going to use that night to propose. They already had a ring and everything was planned. When we were notified that she was murdered, the first call I made was to Nil's father to say that for us it ended. And he said, I want them to be buried together. And I said, don't give up. They haven't told you anything. I'll help you. Maybe you managed to escape. But he said, no, I know they were together. And a few hours later, they were notified that Nil was also murdered. So he called again. It was just before Friday night. They're a very, very religious family. And for them, we never met them before because the kids were afraid that what would happen if we'd meet, because we were such different families. We're secular, they're very religious. We come from the center of Israel, they come from the south of Israel. These were very harsh days in Israel of demonstrations against the government, and we were very much involved in the demonstrations, each family from a different side of the political map. And when we met, it was for the first time at the funeral. It took place on Saturday night, 10 p.m. Everything was pitch dark. And we live in a very small road. They came to our house and the door was open, and it was very emotional to meet everyone. And I saw a very religious lady standing across the door with many kids and a sign up saying, "Our hearts are with Niv." And I thought to myself, what is she doing there? And so I went out to say, wow, I'm really touched. And I was going to ask, what are you doing here? But I turned my head around, and in our small street, there were so many people with flags, Israeli flags, and with torches and police cars. And this is a very small road. I was shocked. They put me in a car. We started driving out of the neighborhood, and there were people standing with flags along the roads, hundreds of them. And I was thinking to myself, wow, what what a respect to my daughter and to her boyfriend that came from the south of Israel. And we leave the neighborhood, and two police motorcycles follow us, and we come to the next neighborhood where the cemetery is. And again, hundreds of people with flags, and these people are not from the demonstrations. They just took cardboards and drew flags or stood with their phones and chanted. And I looked at them and I said, these are not people from our neighborhood. They don't know us. It was a real yell or a cry of pain of the Israeli people. That's what we felt. And people that came from the main road to the cemetery thought to themselves, what are these people standing with flags? Why are they demonstrating now? But when they were directed into the cemetery, they all came very emotional inside. And then in the cemetery, two very different families, very religious and secular, standing there were thousands of people, so it's very tight together, with a lot of respect to each other. And when we started walking out to the burial ceremony, out of nowhere, first of all, the cemetery is pitch dark at night, no lights. And out of nowhere, it started to rain. And I thought to myself, all these people will now turn back and go back home because it's raining. But no, people kept walking very quietly in the rain. And the rain became very, very heavy. And we were standing over the grave, and they put just like a torch of light, and you can see the rain very heavy. And people were getting soaked wet. My sister turned to me and held me in the middle of the ceremony and said, Tami, Niv was chosen to unite our nation. And I said, how did my Niv get this role? It doesn't make sense. But it felt very surrealistic, this situation. And I hugged people that were soaked wet. And when we came out of the cemetery, my youngest daughter's boyfriend said to me, Tami, everything outside is dry. The rain it didn't rain outside of the cemetery. I said, it's impossible. It was very heavy rain, but we looked around and everything was dry. And when we came home, we thought we got this mission, which we don't know how to handle. Mirel's parents came over and felt the same feeling. We still don't know what to do with it. It's not an easy mission, but I know. I can't say it in plural because not everyone thinks like I do, but when they came to kill, they didn't know if we were religious or secular, if we were for peace or against peace. They wanted to kill Jewish people. And that's who we are. We are Jews. And this is why we were hated, no other reason. So this was our message. I don't know still how to handle it, but I took it wherever I can.
I appreciate that. You've developed a relationship with Nirel's family. You've never met them for 8 years. Then came October 7th, and you were connected by fate. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the relationship with them? A bit?
It's very close. It feels like family, actually. We have something very close. We share in the same pain, which is something very heavy to carry. We're still very different, but we feel like family and we really love them. And we meet quite often. We do many things together, so we'll talk about it later.
Eran, this horrible experience that also leads you to connect with other families who experience the same and are living the same kind of reality today.
And it's the beginning. I think November 23, I was one of the leading parents who opened some groups. One of them was parents of the Nova's victims. We arranged many things. We even met people of the prime ministers and others. And I was in relation with many of them, but now I'm almost not keep those relations. I'm having relations with other families who are activate like me, demanding the government, the prime minister to take responsibility for October 7th, for this massacre. So I'm in relation with those guys.
It's been on many people's mind, yours, mine, and others, that this has been taken too long, 2 years now, 730 days, and our hostages have yet to be released, hopefully in the next few days. And many criticize the absence of true motivation from the government. There are objections or because of the situation, because Hamas is a terror organization, and there is a feeling in the country and somewhat outside that the Israeli government is not doing everything it should be doing to make amends to what happened on October 7th. And I don't want to dive into that more than you're willing to share. Eran, if you want to add a little bit more about that, but I'll also like to have to ask you both of moments of unity across the aisle with people who you may have not thought that would think the same, or just think differently, and then you find mutual opportunities. Tami or Eran, would one of you like to add to that?
I can say in the beginning, In the 3.5 days that Oriya was absent, I hoped she was kidnapped. I knew that the state of Israel abandoned Oriya and another thousands of people. No one had or has the right to negotiate about bringing them home. We lost this war. In October 7, they were better with us and they beat us. We should give them everything they want, bring them back home, and then prepare to the next war. That was my opinion before we found Oriya, and I didn't change my opinion at all. Secondly, everyone who follow the news and listen to the ministers of Israeli ministers, and I met many of them, and even parliament or Knesset members of the coalition. I can tell you they did everything they can do for destroying, bringing the hostage back home. Definitely. They still want to control Gaza and other things, and I don't want to get into this politics, but that's fact. And about living together, Israel is divided. In my work, there are many people who think different from me, and I have to work with them. And when I'm going to the supermarket, I have to buy from someone who thinks different from me. So it's not easy, but that's life. Even so, we do not share the same Jewish values. Unfortunately, I have to live with them. I hope that we'll succeed to bring a change to Israel, to have a better state, a really Jewish country.
Jewish values, yeah. Eran, where do you get your strength from? Where does your hope come from? And what do you do to celebrate Oriya's memory?
First of all, many people telling me that I'm strong, admire me, but I don't feel that I'm strong. I feel very weak, but I don't let myself to stay in bed. And I have 2 daughters that I have to support them. I have family, I have friends. And it's better to continue living instead of being in a depression. And to keep the name of Oriya from publishing it, I built a memorial place next to the place she was murdered. There is a sign. I built a little small garden, per se. We produced a film, 8 minutes film. The name is The Tree of Oriya. We have 7 versions with English subtitles, French, Spanish, Italian, Russian, German, and more. You'll get a link later. That
I'll just mention that we just put the links to all these YouTubes in the chat, so you can copy the relevant link and look at it later.
In the last half a year, I was very busy with this film, and now it will be in all Israeli stations in October 7, in October 16, all this month it will be. And it will be even in Jewish film festivals. That's what I did until now. And after this webinar, I'm going to stop doing it and to do a change in my life and to begin a new life.
Well, I know that we'll still be in touch. I'm not.
We'll be in
worried.
touch. Don't worry.
We'll be in touch. Tami, your life purpose have shifted following this horrible, horrible tragedy. And I would love to hear more about it because what you're doing is remarkable.
Thank you. Shortly after October 7th, about a month later, people started to tell me that I need to think how to commemorate. I didn't really understand what it meant at the time, but I understood that if people want to help, I need to take the assistance when it was given. So Niv, as I said, was a student for psychology, but she was a psychologist by heart. She gave so many people advice and helped people make very major decisions in their lives. So it was obvious I wanted to go into something that had to do with treatment. Nirel he had an army career. He was very severely injured in 2015 and had to leave 5 years later. He had an army career, but when he had to leave the army because he had heart failure. And when he left the army, he encountered post-trauma. And he wanted to dedicate his life to helping people to reach their rights from the government because he had difficulty to get his rights. So I thought I would go into treatment of post-trauma. And I decided I went out on my own. My husband wasn't ready to help me. And I met a psychiatrist who managed a ward in a mental health center, who came back from his reserves and understood that Israel is going, the whole country is going to be with, the whole country is traumatized and would need help to deal, and specifically with combat trauma. And he went back to his hospital and said that he wants to take the hospital into, he said, we can't deny this and that we need to take a position in combat trauma. And he got a green light from the manager of the hospital to start preparing protocols to deal with combat trauma. And we met a day later, which helped make my ideas receive very professional infrastructure. And it helped him to take his ideas out of a hospital setting. And we opened a center to treat combat post-trauma on a beautiful place overlooking the ocean. We opened just exactly 1 year ago, but it's a very professional place that does, we already have about 200 patients, and we treat the families, the parents, spouses. We have research going on and technology implemented, and it's a growing place to a huge growing need. So this is what's keeping me alive these days, and it's giving me a lot of meaning.
That's incredible. It feels like Israel has been, from the day of its inception, from the first day it was established, people are living in post-traumatic stress syndrome on a daily basis, and it is enhanced even more after Yom Kippur War and now after October 7th, creating this trauma therapy center is a very profound way to support the memory of a loved one. We will have more information in the follow-up email if anybody would like to contribute and support it in addition. Also, someone raised here in the audience the technical question about why cannot they copy the information provided on the chat. So all the links to the short video, Oriya's tree, will be shared in the follow-up email that we'll send to all who registered to this webinar today. So you'll get that along with a recording of today's session. And I'm reminding our audience that feel free to write your questions in the Q&A. And we will do our best to address that with our guests. We're having the webinar today in English with additional support in other languages because it's important for us to share the message of your experiences with the Jewish communities abroad. And I'm wondering, from each of you, what do you think that the communities abroad, Jewish communities, should know, understand about October 7th? What is the main takeaway that you want our listeners to have from your story? Tami?
Can I start?
Sure.
I think Israel was scarred and changed dramatically on the 7th of October. Things changed here in a way that I don't know if they will ever return to what they were before. As you know, innocent people, really innocent people, that all they wanted is to dance in a party or to live very quiet life. They believed in peace. It didn't matter. They were brutally murdered. And I think we understood that we need the Jewish community's support, just to know that people are there and care and no, they don't deny that it happened. I think it's important for Israel as a country.
Thank you. Eran?
I think that communities around the world can help by raising awareness and also by distancing themselves from the current Israeli government, which does not reflect true Jewish values. They can show the world that there is a large part of Israeli society made of moral, compassionate, and human people who believe in light and life and will do everything to achieve peace and a good neighborhood relations with our neighbors, from Indonesia in the east until Morocco in the west.
I think what I'm hearing from both of you is that Jewish communities abroad, while we are abroad, we're used to not criticizing the state of Israel. We're used to not criticizing the government. And many of our community members abroad find it challenging to do so, even when there is a conflict of values. What I'm hearing most from you is you would like people to understand that there's a real shatter. It's a changing moment in Israel's history that may affect Jewish communities abroad, and being more aware of what's going on and maybe why it's happening is pivotal one way or another to the relationship of Jewish communities abroad with the Israeli communities in Israel and the government. And I'm wondering, how do you think communities and individuals abroad who support you would would like to support the Israeli communities, the people of Israel, and Israel at large, what can we do to help? What can we do to support? Tami?
I can say personally that supporting different initiatives in Israel, I think financially helps a lot. It has helped a lot. From October 7th, the government wasn't ready to deal with anything that had happened. So it's the army that wasn't ready with enough. I don't know even how to say, but they weren't ready, and the Jewish communities assisted so much. And I think even to tell our story and to keep it alive and for people to know, to remember, because I can say that Niv and Nirel had so many dreams together. They were planning to get married, and they had full life and with a lot of purpose. And I think that for me to keep them alive and their values, and for people to hear their stories, for me it's a lot. And to know that people still care and remember is also very important.
Tami, someone asked in the Q&A whether we can have more information about the project, the initiative that you're leading. Either we can put that in the chat right now, or we can just send it in the email follow-up.
I'll send the brochure with all the information with the email.
Okay,
You
and
know
we'll
it.
have, okay.
Thank you.
And Eran, if people want to connect with activities to support the effort for safeguarding Israel's democracy from abroad, is there any specific initiative that you're suggesting that they engage with? Or again, Aid Coalition is another platform that supports Israeli democracy. Eran, would you like to add something on that?
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know the mentality out of Israel. I don't know if you can affect and help Israel. I'm not talking about money. I really don't care about money. So just do good things.
The message.
That's what you can do. Be good.
Messages. I apologize. I broke into your sentence. I apologize.
I completed my 2 sentences.
The messages we're receiving through the Q&A, some of them are really personal. A lot of condolences and empathy to you both, as well as to the families of October 7th. No one should endure what you are enduring on a daily basis. And a lot of people who are tuned in today are sharing messages of a lot of love and support to you both and to the endeavors that you're leading. I'd like to add something about Oriya's tree that Eran initiated in Israel. I visited it this summer. It's a powerful spot to visit when you go to visit the south, to visit the Otef. And I thank you for creating that landmark. And I invite anyone who is listening in your future visits to Israel, when you visit the Otef, when you pay your respect stop at that place. I think Eran, there's a specific, you can find it on Waze, right? It exists if you plug it in on Waze, Oriya's tree, you can find it. And that's a very meaningful landmark that for years to come will carry the memory, as well as the amazing work, Tami, that you lead, helping individuals who are struggling so much to survive daily with the heavy burden of trauma, stress, to cope and to reconnect with their families and the society at large.
Can I just say that it's called Niv Raviv Center, if anyone wants to look into it. I'll send the information, but it's on Instagram or Facebook, and whoever comes to Israel is also invited to come to see it as well.
I'm gonna shout out to our technical support team. Neta, first of all, if you could just re-show both presentations of the photos of Oriya and Niv, and to Yotam, who's also in the background, if you could find the link for Niv Raviv Center on Facebook, and maybe we can share it now on the chat. Again, a lot of messages of love are coming through the Q&A. Eran, any additional things you would like to add?
No, just remember.
So Yotam, thank you. Yotam, just put the Niv Raviv Center link in the chat, and we can add that as well to the to our follow-up email. In 2 days will be October 7th, and in Israel, even though it's going to be Sukkot Day and the Yom Tov, this day means a lot. There's a national ceremony that will be held that day in Israel, led by Kumu and the families of October 7th. And 8 Coalition invites you to tap into the online viewing of it with simultaneous translation to English. And a link for that is offered here in the chat. Throughout communities around the world, October 7th will be remembered either on that day or throughout October. Many communities are creating commemorations event. And I'd like to everybody who is listening to us today, who are in this webinar, to remember it's not just a day, and it's not just a story. It's the life and the loss of life of so many people and families who need to continue and thrive and engage with the future without their loved ones. And it affects all of us, all Jews across the world, not just the individuals who are with us today, speaking to us, telling us their stories, and not just Israelis who are in Israel. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you for sharing your story and letting us into your world. And I know it's been extremely, extremely difficult for you. Before I wrap up the last minutes, there's a lot of information in the chat. So folks, if you are able to tap into some of that information, that would be great. And if not, again, we will send it in the follow-up email. Let's see if there's any last questions, but again, messages of love. So thank you again. And
you.
be strong this week. What can I tell you? We're all sending a huge virtual hug to each and one of you and your families.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Hag Sameach and a Happy New Year.
Toda. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.